All right, let's talk about what we learned a little bit about this past weekend in the National Football League. We'll start with the Ravens and Steelers. Steelers ended up prevailing that game in a low-scoring bout between those two division rivals. Some key takeaways for me was number one, um, I knew that game was going to be what it was, right? It was a slobber knocker type of game. Russell Wilson did not play particularly well. He was a little bit uneven. To me, the big standout to me was the defense for the Pittsburgh Steelers. They were aggressive. They got after it. They limited the big plays that the Ravens had had pretty much all season long. And their kicker, Chris Boswell, was 6 for 6. He accounted for all of the 18 points that the Steelers did score to win that particular game. Now, like I said before, the defense for the Steelers was legit, led by TJ Watt. They constantly kept pressure on Lamar Jackson, forcing him to not play the typical style that we're used to seeing him. Even Derrick Henry. Now, I know Derrick Henry did get a score in the end, but they did cause a fumble early in that game. I believe it was on the second possession, something like that. But the defense for the Steelers was definitely all over the field. Guys like Patrick Queen is playing his former team. Like Mike Tomlin said after the game, he says, another man's trash is another man's treasure. And that was definitely the case in this particular game. Now, when you look at the Baltimore Ravens side of things, listen, just looking at their stats, I mean, they had a bunch of missed opportunities, and particularly Justin Tucker, right? He missed, I believe, two crucial long field goals early in that game. And this is kind of weird for him because he's missed a lot of field goals this year. Now, arguably, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer, maybe, right? One of the best kickers we've seen in the National Football League, especially from deep, 50 yards and out. He's been the guy. But for whatever reason, in this particular game, he missed a 57-yard, I believe, and a 52-yard a kick, which is usually like an extra point for him. So missed opportunities there, fumbling the ball, Derrick Henry right there, which hasn't been common for him all season. Inaccurate passing by Lamar Jackson. Listen, he is still maybe the front runner, but that game yesterday, or excuse me, on Sunday, really did not do him any favors. It just proves to me that maybe the Ravens aren't as strong as we thought they were. Another thing too, penalties. I believe they had about 10 penalties, if I'm not mistaken. I know they're one of the most highest penalized team in the National Football League, which isn't a really good recipe for success, especially when you start to play other strong teams such as the Steelers or the Bills or the Chiefs or even Houston if they can figure the things out there for them. So you're looking at teams that aren't making a lot of mistakes, but you are, and definitely there was a slew of that in that Baltimore Ravens game that really helped propel the Steelers. Now, looking at Russell Wilson again, he didn't play a great game. He kind of was a game manager, in my opinion. He didn't get pushed the ball down the field like what we've seen him do the last couple games, especially with George Pickens. And credit to the Baltimore Ravens defense as well. But he was able to find that intermediate passing game, which was able to kind of help them survive. Now, they didn't get the ball in the end zone. I think there were a couple of drives where they probably should have scored a touchdown, but ended up resulting in a field goal. So overall, for me, the biggest thing that I learned is that the Ravens need to consistently improve on not making mistakes, especially in key moments, right? They've kind of been getting away by it a little bit. Obviously, they're still winning football games. The offense has been looking well. But again, it's all going to boil down in the postseason. Now, as far as Lamar Jackson is concerned, very talented. And this has always been a knock on him. When in crunch time, can he get it done? I still think he can. It's one loss, right? So it's only a week 11. They still have plenty of games to get through. They're going to have another matchup with these same Steelers again in the next couple of weeks at home. But one thing's for sure, the Steelers defense is operating at a very high level, and they kept this game close in order to win it. Literally, if you win a game without having to score a touchdown, that's pretty phenomenal, and you got to give credit to your defense, and that's exactly what they did. Now, with this win, the Steelers have put themselves in a position to say, you know what, hey, guys, it ain't just about the Chiefs or the Bills or even the Ravens. We are serious contenders too, and I guess we'll have to see that in the next coming weeks. What a great game we had between the Buffalo Bills at home against the Kansas City Chiefs, the reigning champs. Listen, the Buffalo Bills came away with that victory, and it was well-deserved. Josh Allen, to me, he just keeps winning games despite not having some of his targets there. Dalton Kincaid did not play. They were missing Keon Coleman, but guys like Amari Cooper, who stepped up, made some really big time catches. Khalil Shakur really handled some really good receptions there late in that game. And they just rode Josh Allen to that victory, especially that 4th and 2 late in that game was a critical state because, yeah, they could have punted, but we all know you punt that ball away to Patrick Mahomes, more than likely he's going to probably kill you. And teams have found that out time and time again. Now, the Bills did get the win. It was a heroic performance, I would say, defensively too. I mean, they really did a good job limiting the Chiefs' big plays. Obviously, you're not going to limit them throughout the whole game. They were able to find something when the run game late in that game, especially when they start handing the ball off to Kareem Hunt. And that's going to be a scary sight when the Chiefs do get Isaiah Pacheco back. But back to the Bills overall. They're a well-coached team, right? I always say this on all of my platforms, whether it's here on NFL Matchups or even on my Sunday Wake Up Show live on Sunday. So make sure you guys check that out. This is a mature, grown-up team, okay? You look at other teams, maybe they're down a couple players. They just don't know what to do. But the Bills, it doesn't matter because why? The one constant back there is Josh Allen. Now, Lamar lost this past weekend. Josh Allen won this week. Low key, I feel like Josh Allen is maybe building up some steam to take over the front runner here as far as the MVP candidate is concerned. Still a ways to go. Obviously, that award still is going to have to figure it out later on. But definitely Josh Allen should be considered highly for that particular award. Now, there were some plays. They did miss Amari Cooper on some deep throws, but overall, using Josh Allen's legs is crucial for this particular team. The run game was okay, I would say, but when it boils down to it, their run game has to be Josh Allen. And he proved that on that 4th and 2, where he scored that touchdown to eventually seal the game for the Buffalo Bills. Now, let's look at the Chiefs. On the other hand, first loss of the season, good. Honestly, I don't think it's a big deal, honestly. It's probably a more bigger deal for the Buffalo Bills because they feel like they got to beat the Chiefs because of their recent postseason performances against them. And I believe Josh Allen has won more games against Patrick Mahomes than any other starting quarterback. And correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section, but let me know. But, as far as the Chiefs are concerned, they're probably like, you know what? We can just get that out the way because they have bigger fish to fry. I don't think they're looking at, we're going to go undefeated like the 72 Dolphins. No, they're looking for a three-peat. Something that has not happened yet since the merger of the AFL and the NFL. That's not happened. So I think they got bigger fish to fry. That's a game they probably could have won too as well. A couple mistakes down the stretch. The defense just couldn't get that stop that they needed, that timely stop, which they've been known to do recently, right? So Patrick Mahomes led them down the field, got the touchdown to come within striking distance. Then the defense just kind of gave it up at the end of the day. But granted, it's Josh Allen, right? So I don't think, if anything, this affects the Chiefs. Now, I believe that their schedule is going to get a little bit harder. It's going to be a little bit more difficult, especially because they're not really performing well on offense altogether, like at least not efficiently the way we've grown accustomed to. But the defense is still solid. I don't think that's going to be a problem. Teams lose. That's just what it is. It's the National Football League. Listen, it's a reason why no team has gone undefeated since 1972. It's freaking hard to do that. And every week you're going to be getting everyone's best because why? They're the Chiefs. They're the reigning champions. It's Patrick Mahomes. It's Andy Reid. It's Travis Kelce. It's Taylor Swift. You're going to take everyone's best shot. And so I'm not that concerned. Like I said before previously, they're going to get Isaiah Pacheco back. And between him and Kareem Hunt, whoa, look out. And it's slowly but surely, DeAndre Hopkins is going to start to maybe fill out a role there. Xavier Worthy is going to probably get a little bit better, right? He's a rookie, right? Juju Smith-Schuster had some really good catches. So overall, it wasn't a bad loss. Turnovers a big thing. Obviously, they lost the turnover battle, but those are things that can be corrected by a good, solid football team. So kind of what I learned really is that, these are two competitive teams, and this is not the last time I think we're going to see these two teams face off. But next time, it's probably going to be for more. In my final, what we learned this past week in the National Football League, the NFC West is going to be a tight race. With Seattle winning over the 49ers on Sunday. And, before I move further, shout out to Geno Smith, right? I mean, this is his first win against the 49ers. Like, that's crazy to me. And I read a stat the other day is that this is his 7th game-winning drive since 2023, and he leads the league in comeback wins as a quarterback. So, he's flying under the radar with this team. But listen, this race is going to be insane. You got Arizona at the top, and then there's this logjam with the Niners, the Seahawks, and the Rams, right? So what's going to happen? I don't know, man. But this division went from kind of like, oh my God, this is terrible, to a very intriguing type of race for this division. And the Niners, going into the season, I thought they had this by far, right? I didn't expect the Cardinals to be as solid as they were. The Rams, I knew they were dealing with injuries, obviously, and they battled back from that. If you think about the Rams from week 1, when they played Detroit, they lost Puka Nacua. They lost Cooper Kupp for an extended amount of time. Their offensive line was in shambles. They were missing guys on the defensive end. And the just sheer fact that they are, I believe, 5-5 and tied in the NFC West, that's remarkable coaching. So, what I learned from this particular division is that it's literally the wild, wild west here. But in regards to Geno Smith and the Seattle's performance, what a come from behind win, man. I mean, I can't say much about Geno Smith other than he's playing at a high level. He's a veteran quarterback. That last drive was just a microcosm of all of the big plays that he's capable of making, and he made them when it mattered most. Jackson, what's his name? Smith Njigba, DK Metcalf, timely catches there towards the end. But San Francisco's defense is not as vaunted as it once was before. Obviously, Nick Bosa went down with an oblique injury, I believe. He didn't play the rest of that game. They probably could have used him late, especially when Geno Smith was back there just throwing dots. So a lot of questions. And I know they got Christian McCaffrey back, and that's a big boost because he does help that offense out, right? Whether he touches the ball or not, he's a dynamic player. But Jauan Jennings also stepped up too. But there's something wrong with this particular team, and I can't really place my finger on it. But they don't have that same essence or that same aura that we're the Niners, we're going to come beat you, right? No, they're still talented. Don't get me wrong. Still well coached, but I think the rest of the division has caught up to them. And I think Arizona definitely can compete with them for sure. We've seen that. I believe they still have to make a trip to Arizona as well. So this division may come down to the very, very end. And who will be left at the top? Honestly, I can't really call out at this point because I thought the Niners were going to win handily over the Seahawks this time around. They beat them convincingly a couple weeks ago on the road without Christian McCaffrey, but I guess they made their adjustments. But now the NFC West is legitimately the wild, wild west, and I don't know who's going to come out on top. But the biggest takeaway for me is that, just buckle up because it's going to be a wild ride.